Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that the warmth has abandoned us here in England and it's chilly today, hence the hoodie. Welcome back to Chelsea News, man. The Daily series here on the channel where I reflect on what's been said about Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it, friend. More importantly, asking for yours. Today, we're discussing many things. Michael Edwards, sporting director from Liverpool. He's clearly done a good job. Chelsea want him. Could he be lured over? What a signing that would be for the Todd Boehly era. Getting these... If it's worked at Liverpool, it will work at Chelsea. That's what I'm thinking right now. We're going to talk about Michael Edwards. A couple of articles on Football.London actually will be referencing, yes, the one about the sporting director. Actually, no, just the one, I think. But I do want to talk about Declan Rice as well, because Matt Laws referenced he would not be surprised. And when Matt Laws says stuff like this, things usually happen. He said this about Lukaku as well. I think sometimes it's a way of Matt Laws saying, I know something, without saying he knows something. That's just speculation from me. Also, I want to jump on some transfer news being aggregated by Cy Phillips on Twitter. Guys, this video is brought to you by SPITCH. SPITCH is the greatest, possibly latest, fantasy football that's totally free, though you can win some cash and wager cash if you want. Why is it better than the other fantasy footballs in the world? Well, I'll tell you, friend. First of all, and the top of the tree, mate, it uses Opta stats. The worst thing about fantasy football, and the big one that, you know, we all play sometimes, it's really poor at rewarding your football knowledge. If you've got good ball knowledge and a player plays well, generally in the game, by statistics, you want to be rewarded accordingly. And you get that on SPITCH. Hallelujah! It's here. Good fantasy football. Plus, you can play once a week. You don't have to commit to the season. It's ruddy, wicked. The season's coming up. You want to get affiliated with SPITCH, acquainted to it. So click the link in the description to go check it out now. Dude, it's free. You can play against managers across the world. Sign up. Enjoy SPITCH. Have a lovely time. Let's move back to the studio. Right, where are we going to start? Okay, we'll talk about Declan Rice in the middle. We'll talk about other transfers at the end. But let's start on sporting director Michael Edwards. I'm going to read an article here on Football.London from Danielle Khan. Former Liverpool sporting director. Pause. Now, I think former because he's just out of contract now. That's what I've read. I don't know if it was... Yeah, I think he's only just left. So, let's read. Former Liverpool sporting director Michael Edwards sees a move to Chelsea as one that has, quote, great appeal. Oh, why wouldn't it right now? As the two main candidates to replace Marina Granovskaia in Todd Boehly's board reshuffle and emerge. This week has been one of the many twists and turns for the Blues off the pitch. On the board, both Bruce Buck and Marina Granovskaia stepped down from their roles after many years of service under Roman Abramovich. And of course, Petr Cech's future is also coming under severe scrutiny. Possibly even today, by the way, guys, there'll be a meeting between Boehly and Petr Cech. Personally, I hope Petr Cech stays. He's such an intelligent man, communicative. He can really bridge that gap between players and board level. He's, speaks loads of languages and he knows what Chelsea's. He knows the DNA, mate. He's proper Chelsea. So it would be a good asset to retain, I think. Let's read on. On the transfer side of things, the new interim sporting director, Boehly, appears to be close to finalising the Romelu Lukaku loan deal. Well, by all accounts, that's done. Done. Here we go. A piece of business that could turn a spark of a flurry of action for the world champions. We are the world champions, aren't we? With regard to incoming players. Like I said in the latest recent uploads on the channel, get Lukaku done and then everything else will follow. But in the long run, Boehly knows that the heir to Granovskaia's throne needs to be appointed, and two candidates have emerged as early favourites for the race. First off, you have Atletico Madrid's Andrea Berta. We've spoken about him before here on the channel, who is reportedly interested in the role and would be willing to jump ship at the Wanda Metropolitano to try something new. We'd probably give him more money. The other is ex-Liverpool director Edwards, a person who played a big part in the construction of Jurgen Klopp's serial winning side. Now that sounds good to me. He's a person that has a great appeal to Boehly, who wants to turn the Blues into a Liverpool-type club in the transfer market. And why wouldn't you? Look how much they've spent in terms of appropriate players. We've referenced the Liverpool model being the benchmark in terms of transfers and team building here on the channel a few times, man. So if this is the guy to do it, secrets, come to Chelsea. So, who better than Edwards to take the mantle left by Granovskaia? The Daily Mail validated these links, who also stated Manchester United are also interested in the person who held very good relationships with the FSG ownership on Merseyside. Pause. The thing is with Man United, you might all rightly be saying, yeah, why the hell would he want to come to Man United and you know, that crap show? But he's not a player and he's not a manager. He's a sports director. And Manchester United have a lot of money. So there's three things here. One, he might get paid more at Man United because they pay loads of money to staff and players and everyone. Two, he might have a larger transfer budget to do his job. And three, imagine being the guy who sorts out Man United. Do you know what I mean? This is what we keep saying about, like, why would a manager want to go there? Well, imagine if he's the manager to turn things around at Man United since Alex Ferguson. He'd be, like, God tier. And it's the same with players. Like, yeah, well, why would a player choose to go to Man United? You know, I suppose the money. Well, imagine if they're the player to lead Man United to greatness again. You know, that kind of vibe. So there is actually reasons to be allured for Edwards to go to United. However, it's already apparent that the West Londoners hold a major advantage. That's what we want to hear in the race over the Red Devils. Not just because of the rivalry factor that exists between United and Liverpool. Didn't consider that. Pretty obvious one, staring me in the face. If he's got any form of allegiances to Liverpool, he'd be on, you know, he wouldn't want to go to United. But also because the person in question moves a move to Stamford Bridge as a more attractive at the moment. Interesting. This is according to Mark Ogden of ESPN, who indicated that Edwards is a prime candidate for the Chelsea role, despite early Berta links. He said, quote, sources have told ESPN that a move to Chelsea would hold great appeal to Michael Edwards, and Todd Boehly has him the leading candidate as things stand. Nonetheless, the Blues will still have some task, per the other reports, convincing a man well liked by Jurgen Klopp to move to Stamford Bridge. It is understood that the 42-year-old is committed to spending a little time away from football before a decision is made on his long-term future. So whether or not Boehly can change his mindset remains to be seen. Also, as well, yeah, he's obviously, you're not going to get him in for this transfer window. So, yeah, go and have a break, mate. Go on a holiday and, like, you know, hack his laptop to play the Liquidator in the meantime to try and get some Chelsea, like, hammered into his brain. Before we talk about generic transfers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I do want to talk about Declan Rice. It's been a while, of course. The prodigal son that's been away, one of the best CDMs in world football, a high-performing player, is that the right term? He's basically excelled recently in the Premier League, playing really well, wanted by a lot of big clubs, but I think he wants Chelsea, being a Chelsea boy. Look, he keeps turning down West Ham contracts. He turns down an 8-year contract at 200k a week, which is sensational. Like, if Chelsea gave a player that, it would be sensational, you know. But 8 years, that amortizes so much value. That was their basic, like, look, we'll give you all the money we have, longest contract we can, stay. And he said no. So he does want to go. I think he wants to go to Chelsea. And Matt Law said this: it wouldn't surprise me later on in the transfer window that starts to gather some pace, Declan Rice, because the priorities at the moment are defenders and attackers. Thomas Tuchel reportedly really, really, really likes Declan Rice, and that's coming from multiple different reports. And when Matt Law says something like this, remember when no one was talking about Lukaku to Chelsea when we were chasing Haaland and talking about alternatives? And then Matt Law said on the London is Blue podcast, which is what we're referencing here, he said, guys, I just wouldn't be surprised. I don't know anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lukaku ends up at Chelsea. It's just giving me that vibe. Look, I wanted to talk about it because I think eventually he will turn up at Chelsea, and I think it would be an excellent signing and probably afford Chelsea the opportunity to play a flat back four and score more goals, baby. Look, let's move on and let's talk about other transfers up the pointy end of the pitch where one scores goals. At Cy Phillips Sport on Twitter, great aggregation of Chelsea news. I'm going to grab some stuff off his page now. Referencing Fabrizio Romano here on Caught Offside, saying Chelsea have explored the Rafinha situation with a direct call from Todd Boehly. He's given his okay to Barcelona as a priority, Rafinha, but is now open to English clubs, and Chelsea are absolutely in the race, end quote. And it's also been reported and stated that Chelsea are top of the English clubs. He's like, right, if I can't go to Barca, Chelsea. You know, not Man United, not this, that, the other, not Newcastle, Chelsea, which is nice. Interesting that Todd Boehly is making the phone calls. He very much has taken on the role of sporting director, chief executive. He's getting amongst it, in and around and amongst it. I was surprised when he said he was being a sporting director at the moment, but I think he's literally taken on the role and he's literally doing that stuff. So he's got on the phone with Rafinha. Now, Rafinha will cost a lot of money. I'm seeing people say 75 million and stuff. That does not excite me. He nearly got relegated with Leeds. He's a very good player. Barcelona want him. That means he's a very good player. Personally, I think I would prefer Richarlison. It's a bit of a shit house, obviously, and we're a little bit soft at the moment, Chelsea. I know that sounds rather prehistoric of me, but you need a bit of grit. Ever since Diego Costa, we're all a bit nice. And we spoke about Richarlison, I think, was it yesterday's video or the day before? We looked at his CDM stats as a striker. Though he did reach double figures in goals in the Prem, I think we need to move away from, we need to just buy a striker who can score 30 goals. Clearly, that's not greatly working in the landscape at the moment. And why not get a functional forward that makes the other players better and is really hard-working? Maybe that could be Richarlison. So let's move on to Ousmane Dembele. According to Marca, Ousmane Dembele has offers. So this is a Spanish report, Marca, so pinch of salt. But reports suggest he has offers from Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain, and Bayern Munich. But his wish is to continue with Barcelona. It remains to be seen if he accepts the contract proposal. Guys, when we reflected on that video of him saying he's happy at Barca, he wants to stay at Barca, speaking to that French fan in French, we were like, of course he's going to say that. And that's the reaction to many Chelsea fans, and indeed, like pundits, media people, commentary channels like myself. We all kind of thought, well, of course he's going to say that. But Xavi's desperate to keep him. He does like living in Spain, and I feel like he just wants the money, but he's playing chicken, and he wants to stay in Barcelona. So, we might have to forget about Ousmane Dembele and realise that the biggest and most prioritised target for Chelsea as it stands is Man City's Raheem Sterling, with 1 year left in the deal, 27 years old, would really like the idea, or does really like the idea, reportedly, of moving to Chelsea Football Club. Of course, we've spoken about Raz a couple videos. We'll speak about him again as that story gains traction. Let's move on. Cy Phillips also saying, according to AS, or AS, Jules Koundé is currently on holiday after reaching an agreement with Chelsea. Pause. We understand that there was an agreement reached with Chelsea last year. Is the agreement between Sevilla and Chelsea? Because that's the one we're waiting for, mate. Koundé is very close to joining the Blues, quote, and, quote, all roads lead back to Stamford Bridge this summer. Take me home, Fulham Road, West London. Oh, I've got nothing else. So yeah, also referencing how Richarlison is a key target for Chelsea. Look, man, Chelsea could, Romelu Lukaku's gone back to Inter, space in the attack. Definitely could see us selling one attacker. Let's just say Hakim Ziyech. He's been linked to Milan either on a loan or a sale. I don't know how reputable these stories are, but let's just say it's odd because they're like best mates. But say Ziyech and Lukaku go out the door. You bring in Richarlison, maybe, and Raheem Sterling. Maybe not the sexiest signings because they're not like from like some European division where their XG is really high and they've got a good, I don't know, whatever excites people these days. But it's two players that perform well in the Premier League and have proven they can perform well in the Premier League. And maybe, just maybe, that's smart business, friends. Of course, we'll keep watching that story as it develops. Finally, apparently Chelsea have shown interest in Alan Maximan of Newcastle. £40 million valuation is too high. This is coming from the Daily Mail. Firstly, why would the Saudis sell their jewel in the crown for 40 million? Because money just means nothing to them, and surely ASM means everything to them. And by all accounts, was excited that the takeover, that he could help them build something. I don't know, man. What do you think, though? Comment down below. Talk about Michael Edwards, sporting director. Talk about the players. Let's start the conversation down in the comment section below. I want to hear it, mate. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for dropping a like and subscribing to the channel. And do go check out SPITCH by clicking the link in the top of the description, baby. See you very soon. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I love me bitch.